Okay, so, all right. Say when.
Go.
Life can be so challenging. Where can you go to get divine clarification, help, and advice? Well, may I introduce Natasha Venter, medium coach and direct connection to your guides and angels. Through her podcast, Life Clarifications, Natasha will help you navigate through and create your life's destiny. My name is Kevin McDonald, co-host of this podcast, and I've seen her work and know that through her incredible talent, you can be changed forever. So let's start another episode of Life Clarifications with Natasha. And welcome, Natasha. How are you?
I am doing well with all the chaos going on in this world right now, which is usually a norm for a lot of people because of the perspective that we have right now, that there's always going to be something that's chaotic in everyone's life.
Yes,
And right
indeed.
now it's outside of us, but yet we're going to try not to talk about that kind of thing, but we may talk about something that may help you through what's going on right now.
Absolutely. Do you got any suggestions?
Well, right now, I just feel like that life isn't going the way that people want it to go. And we're getting very frustrated. We're getting very anxious. We're getting that anxiety. We're getting the worries. We're getting the troubles and the tribulations. And we're just having problems with not knowing where to go with what to do with what emotion and how are we supposed to manage this, and it's just troublesome, and we're just in this process where what can we do?
I don't know. It's watching I just happened to be watching TV last night and stuff, and with all the stuff that's going on and with the nitpicking and all this, it really is tough to stay balanced.
It
Um
is.
what are some of the tools that you use to stay balanced?
Well, the first thing that I did this morning was my curiosity was up,
Aha, like a kitty cat.
like a kitty cat. And yet, did I turn on the TV? No.
You have much more self-discipline than I do.
And if I would have, I think I would have just tapped into it, then maybe put on music. Because the ritual of the conversations going around and around, and yes, I understand there's a lot of analytical minds out there that they need to process it by watching and doing. And there's a lot of us who just kind of have a worry mind, and it's healthy if we don't watch. And there's some of us that have the anxiety mind, who it's like the more we feed into that energy, which, yesterday, and this happens a lot of times in life, where we get these energies out there that it's almost like we're swimming through muck in the energy field. And we just don't know how to manage it. And yet I go to this mantra: what's yours is yours, what's mine is mine, and what stands between you and me is love. Or it could be a higher power, it could be an angel, it could be whatever you so choose, a color. Many of us don't, it depends on what we believe in. But I know for me that I do love, because whatever filters through that love, because people's energies, people's worries, people's minds, all the energy does flow and it can get to us. But at the same time, though, that if we filter it with something like love, it's almost like the sieve, when you're draining noodles, or you're doing something like that sieving it through. And sometimes people who can berries, sometimes they have to push the berries juice through so that they don't get the seeds in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of, sometimes it's that thick and we need to do something. But when I filter and I put that kind of, I want to call it a bubble, top, bottom, feet, wherever, back, remember the back, because things can come at us from the backside. That 360 bubble around me, if I say it's just love, then it seems like that even though it might be thick and negative, it doesn't have that much of a, what do you want to call it? Impact as you walk in a door, or and I work in an elementary school, and when all the kids are there, it is like walking through a door and getting some days, it's just one of those things. And that's one thing. Another thing that I always say is I attune to the energies of the now. Or if somebody who I don't like don't rub, or they rub me the wrong way, I always say I attune to the energies of what's going to be presented, so that I can be more in communion with that person. It doesn't mean I have to like them or they have to like me, but it's just that we have to be in the same room together and get along-ish, because there's other things going on.
I like that. Long-ish. Get along-ish.
Long-ish, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. I make up my own dictionary sometimes.
Of course, and it makes perfect sense.
We have these moments where life is going to do things that we don't like. It doesn't go our way. I mean, it's called life. And as much as we want it to go our way. And like my husband lovingly said, he says, it's taken me almost 50 some odd years to realize that there's somebody else's idea that may just work.
He's a mechanic. Yep.
He's a mechanic. And he's got a mechanical mind. And that's why I was saying that some people just need to process through it by doing it, listening to it, getting it. But it was kind of funny because he had a smirk on his face, I was looking at him going, yep, I know. Because I'm very gray, it's like, I don't even, like one time when we first met, he says, would you drive the same way so I can learn where you live? Because I just don't do things the same way. I mean, like I told him, nobody can do something the same way. He goes, yes. I said, even if you tie your shoes the same way, you're sometimes going to take a breath first. Sometimes you're going to have to remember that, oh, wait a minute, I have something on the pot. So on the oven. So you have to go to that real quick as your shoes are still untied. Nobody's going to always do something the same way. So there's always another way of doing something, but our minds don't want to think that it has to be my way. It's the way I want it. It has to be this way. And I'm sorry to say this, but life is about perception. It's about trusting. It's about the greater good. And I know right now, that's the one prayer I'm doing, that the greater good comes out. And I'm going to say sometimes that's negativity that needs to happen for the greater good to come out.
Well, it makes it really challenging when you are so vested, and everybody seems to be this way of late, when everybody's so vested in what they personally believe, and when they're confronted with somebody who is equally vested in what they believe, which could be a polar opposite of what you believe, then it becomes much more of a I don't know, I guess a competition. That's the word I was looking for. It becomes a competition as to who's right and who's wrong. And at a point in time, we're going to just have to say that you're entitled to your opinion and I am mine, and let's continue to work together to make it better for everyone. Exactly. And by the way, if you happen to be listening to this fine little podcast, which is actually a little talk show, you can call us and you can talk to Natasha, because we're going to tell you right now, after I give you the phone numbers, why you would want to talk to Natasha. So so if you give us a call at 206 408.
And that's what I was looking down for, was to put this in the chat. So I apologize for looking down.
You're good. 206 408 $13.95. And the reason why you would want to talk to Natasha is each and every day, each and every one of us runs into a roadblock, something that triggers us. You'd like to find a better way of living, a better way of doing things. And Natasha has a pretty rare gift in that she can not only talk. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you tell them about your rare gift?
Well, I would call it werewolf, a rare gift. What I would call this is a gift that is my uniqueness. And because everyone is unique. And one thing that I want people to know is that I value, I honor, I navigate with all belief systems. Even if I don't believe in it, I put myself in your shoes ish. And there I go with the ish again. It's kind of an ishy day.
Apparently it is, yeah.
that when we're in that, and I value your path, I navigate with your path, and I have an understanding that your life path is yours, and I need to maybe step into that perception because it is valuable for what you know, what you're working with and working through. And I value that with as little judgment as I can hold in my humanness. And even people say to me, you don't judge, do you? No, because if I do start having that, I go, wait a minute, that's not my life. Why should I be judging it? But then I look at myself. What can I do to navigate through this differently? And how can I where am I judging myself for the same thing that might be showing up in their life, showing me for my life? And, so I really go into that, your shoes, my shoes, how can I judge those shoes?
Two shoes.
Or the two shoes, or the four shoes, or the whatever shoes that, we're in this process where there's so many judgments going out there that I just want to hold love and kindness for whatever we're walking through. And me being the medium, intuitive person that I am, that I really reach into many different dimensions. I go from the fairies to the star people, angels. I work with the ascended masters, like I was doing a meditation the other day, and Merlin, Tesla, and Archangel Metatron came in, and so how different can you get with Merlin? Well, Tesla and Merlin are almost in the same category. They both created magic, but then, you got all these different beings that are helping out in this meditation, and magic in my eyes, and being the witness of this meditation for this person could have been life altering if she chooses to walk with that life altering, which now is up to her, not me. I am just in awe of me knowing that Merlin, Tesla was the first one that popped in that I haven't, because he's an ascended master. He stepped into the ascended master. Now he can come back on this planet. He may come onto another planet, but right now he's choosing to be an ascended master. And so with that, there's always this balance and this grace of what is happening with him that is helping us now.
I thought Tesla was a car.
Well, isn't he the...
I have no earthly idea, but there is. I know that there is a car named Tesla, but I'm not familiar with.
Well, he's the one that created the pyramid of the magic and he was the one that dealt with electricity in the way that he did. Yes. So, and I might be wrong, but that's who he came to me as.
You can't be wrong. You can't be wrong because, but I do need to push back on you just a little bit.
Please.
And that is, I have been working with you now for those last several months. I have been working with psychics and mediums of all stripes and styles and abilities for many years. And when you discount yourself, it kind of irritates me, because I've seen the product of your abilities to get stuff done. When my son came here, he said, after the conversation was over, he said, "Dad, what are you doing to me?" And when we're talking to Regan, and I think it was Terry came on, and you spent a lot of time working with her. It's like, no. If nothing else, you have got a direct connection to these folks that can help people here. And that's because you have the ability to listen and
thank you.
And to be able to channel through it. And so it is the ability that you have is very unique, by the way.
Well, thank you for that gift, because that's something that I keep in check, is my ego. I am not here to be on a pedestal. I don't want to be on a pedestal. I actually want to be empowered and be the pedestal. I want to be the person that can be for many. And, I've always seen myself standing on stage and being someone who can be supportive as people walk through life, dealing with emotions. I've worked through that struggle of grief. Now I haven't lost a child, nor have I lost a sibling. I'm an only child, but yet I lost my parents and grandparents. And I watched my mother of heart, who came into my life after my mother passed. I call her my mother of heart. That she came into my life, who has lost a child, who had someone who had an accident and he couldn't move from his shoulders down. And he could a little bit, but just a little bit. And so I watched her for almost 20 years grieve her child, supporting her through that, being a messenger for her child, and then supporting her through the anniversaries of those times. And even the accident was life altering. Having a child that he's going to be a chef. He was going to be a great cook. He was a great cook, but can he do it now? And that's what I mean by, we don't always have life go the way we want it to. And that's where we have to just say, okay. Sometimes, even if we don't want to, we just sometimes have to go, okay.
Yeah, but a lot of times it works out if you take back and step back just a little bit, and over time, because there's that old song that the Rolling Stones did. You can't always get what you want. Do you remember that song?
Definitely.
But if you try sometimes, you just might find that you get what you need.
Yes.
And that's the gospel. That's the gospel according to Mick Jagger, by the way.
and we're always in this midst of that, and that's the thing, that it's amazing that when we just keep walking forward, we keep believing in ourselves. That's the trick. Believing in ourselves, that we may just get what we want or what we need. Like you said, kind of like for me, that I was a volunteer in my kids' elementary school. Then the secretaries decided to say, would you get paid for what you do? So I got hired on. Well, I'll tell you that going back to school, elementary school, I'll put it, gave me the 101s of what my dyslexia needed so that I can be the writer that I am today, doing my inspirational quotes on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. And, I do my newsletters. Before, it would take me almost a month to write a half a page because my dyslexia was so bad that I couldn't even read my own writing. And now I can write things and do it right the first time because the universe gave me what I needed, put me back in elementary school. Then they gave me a reading platform that actually gave me the idea on how to read and understand what words were, which now I'm teaching kids that, and they're learning how to read and believing in themselves. And so I'm doing the teaching here on YouTube now and teaching in the elementary school. And it's amazing where we have this dance of life will give us what we need. Sometimes that means taking us out of a job. Like me, I had a disability with my shoulders and I was on disability insurance. But I'll tell you, with leaving my hairstyling business, being on disability insurance, I ended up being home when my children were very young and my parents were passing. And I was able to take care of my mom with Lou Gehrig's disease. I got 3 years later after that, I was able to take care of my uncle with the same disease. When we have this opportunity, no, I didn't like being in pain. No, I didn't like being on disability insurance. But yet at the same time, I learned more about my body. I can talk to my body more because of it. I was home during this critical time in my life, their lives, and then it gave me the ability to just move forward and believe in myself differently. It gave me a chance to do a lot of the work in the classes.
So would you consider that whole episode with your shoulders having to go on disability, would you consider that a negative aspect in your life or a positive aspect of your life?
I would say both.
But in order to
I'm not a glass is half full or a glass is half empty. It's about in the middle.
Hold on. I'm not done with you yet. Hold on.
Okay. I'm interrupting. Sorry, I'm not listening well. See, I can be human.
Because what I'm saying is to get one, you had to have the other.
Mm-hmm.
In order for you, and same thing happened to me this last year when I tore my rotator cuff and then I tore my tricep and I had to have 2 surgeries and stuff. There was a certain amount of pain to go through to get where I am today. I had to go through that. So was it a bad thing that I fell and ripped up my arm? Well, it hurt like a son of a gun, but other than that, the long-term thing, I no longer am in that kind of pain. I still have got some stuff I've got to do, but it allowed me to meet people like you. It allowed me to work with people like you because I'm not tied to a job where I can't do the thing. So on the other side, were they saying, well, boy, are we going to have a year for this guy? In order for us to make him realize his dreams, he's got to go through some crap to get to the other side. But when he does, it'll be good. So all in all, even though I've had 3 surgeries in less than 10 months.
Yeah.
I would call it a good exercise. You
learned how to rewire your body too, didn't you?
Yeah, and take pain medication and stuff. And I learned all about it. No.
And yes, I would say that the shadow work, the negative things that I found out about myself, the things that the grief made me walk through, the mud, the muck, but I tell you that every time I witness somebody who has come through to a walkable grief, that they have become more enlightened. They became more aware of themselves. They became more awake in their life. But they had to go through the negative work and the negative emotions, the hate, the pain, the anger, the frustration, the sadness, the aloneness, the whatever you want to put into that bag it's bigger than my house, that whatever emotion it was, the extreme happiness, the extreme, crying at the same time you're laughing, it's those extremes that you go through in grief, but yet at the same time, which I want to tell you, it's okay. That whoever tells you it's not okay to feel while you're grieving, they have not known how to navigate through grief. So I want to give people permission to feel, but feel in a safe way. Please feel in a safe way. cry into a pillow, scream into a pillow, do what you can that way. But we don't usually have life that goes the way we want it to. And sometimes we have to say, holy, why not? And then we go, okay, like we tell our kids, if you don't get what you want, what do you say? Okay.
But sometimes you get what you need.
But you get what you need. And I can tell you that all that work that I did through those years, I found out more that my dyslexic self of me was not my negative foe, that she actually was the reason why I'm so intuitive, because I was able to navigate. I could not read really until after high school. So I observed life. I navigated with life. I listened to people. I was the only child, only grandchild. So a lot of times I was the only child in a room listening to adults. And so since I couldn't read or distract myself, I was listening. And that gave me that chance to be observer of what my feelings were, what I was thinking things were going on, at the same time, what I was really hearing, to get a perspective. And was it fun? No, it wasn't fun being bullied. No, it wasn't fun being laughed at because you couldn't spell, like I couldn't even spell the name Scott in 8th grade.
That's my middle name.
But I couldn't spell it.
I can't
still
either.
Have a hard time spelling my oldest child's middle name, Michael, because sometimes I want to turn some letters around and it doesn't quite work that way, because it's Michelle or Rochelle, or is it Michael? You know what I mean? And so there's that dance where sometimes we're always going to have these negative things that come into our lives. But what are they here to stop us and show us? Do I just keep writing what I think it is? No, I stop and check to see who and what that spelling might be. I stop and check to see who's really interacting with me. I really stop and see what's happening. Even if I though life gets me on the hamster wheel, sometimes I stick my head out on the good side so I don't get bonked by the other side that's holding on the wheel, and see, oh, wait a minute. Is this me putting me on the hamster wheel, or is it life? I'm going to step off because it's me right now.
Interesting. See, the whole thing about the positives and negatives and the bad things that happen to us and the good thing, I've gotten to the point where I look for, when something challenging happens, I look for, okay, why is that here and how is it going to benefit me?
Yes.
Because I believe, I don't believe that there are people on the other side that are going, hey, watch this. Everything is there for a divine purpose and for us to do better. And there's a reason why, if the negative comes into your life, as an example, your parents and your uncle, they all went, and it was Lou Gehrig's disease has to be one of the most awful things that I can imagine, especially watching a loved one or two wither away, and to the point where they can't breathe anymore, and then they pass away. That is one of the more horrific things that I can think of, watching that. But they did it, and it was, I believe, kind of by design, to take you to where they wanted you to go, because you were given the gifts, but you didn't recognize that. And most of us don't, until you had the opportunity to go down that road. And now you're with your parents by your side. They're now taking you to the next level.
They are. And that's the thing is that, even though I had the tools, even though I know I was intuitive, it really gave me, when you go through the exhaustion and like after my mom passed, I had to learn to like my toes again. I didn't like any part of me. I didn't like a lot of things in my life. I had gratitude.
Toes?
What's that?
What was the matter with your toes?
They were a part of me.
Oh, just
They were part of me. Because I know I didn't make great decisions during that time. And if it wasn't for my dad saying, as I was growing up, my dad was an amazing man. He knew that he wasn't going to be long lived in this life. So he dumped as much as he could into the years that he was. And he used this mantra because he was very dyslexic himself, that he says, at this minute in time, I've learned this. And the next minute in time, I'll learn something more. And I wish that I would have made a different decision. And so at this minute in time, I'm going to look back and remember what I knew at that time I made a decision and forgive myself for anything that I would have done that I deemed wrong at this time. And I use that daily with my mom and Lou Gehrig's disease. Because I knew I wasn't going to make great decisions. I knew I was beat tired. I had a newborn baby. Actually, it was interesting how the roads crossed. As soon as my youngest started eating, my mom stopped eating. Because it was my mom's throat that went first. So she had a harder time swallowing food, but she was still able to maneuver a little bit with her legs and her arms. Because every Lou Gehrig's disease, it hits somebody different. And so as she was able to still kind of get up, but as soon as my child started moving, my mom slowly stopped moving. So as my kids started getting more mobile, she became less mobile. As soon as my kids started eating more solid foods, she stopped eating solid foods. You know, it was interesting, the processes of how things were crossing. And I know the timing of this was divinely given because the universe knew that I could not take care of my mother. They knew I could feed a baby, but they knew I wouldn't be able to feed my mother. They knew greater than I, because I couldn't feed my mother. I had a hard time putting a spoon to my mother's mouth.
Well, that's kind of, like sort of understandable, because that's you went through. And by the way, I'm assuming that after all this and all that was said and done, that you forgave yourself for any of the issues that may have been, any decisions that you may have made that may not have been the absolute best.
That was the walk through the grief. That was that part of not liking my toes. And then I started looking at my toes going, I love you. I really do love you, toes. I really do love you. And then I'd work up to my ankles, and then I would work up to my thigh or my shins. And then I would say, rub my knees. Yes, knees. I'm grateful that you got me out of bed this morning. I'm glad that you're walking. Thank you. I love you. I love you. Oh, feet, toes. I love you. And I would just slowly walk up to where I knew I could be logistically here. And so I had to start somewhere, that I had to start loving, because I had to relearn to be a wife again. I had to relearn to be a mother again. I went through the car wash of life, and it was not easy. And so with that we navigate with what we got. But I can tell you, good things happened in those bad moments. But it took my perspective to say, thank you for being my angel. And I said that to some of the caregivers. Thank you for being my angel, because I can't be my own angel right now.
Well, but you had an infant that you were working with. You just had a baby. Your mom was sick. Taking that on would have been really, really hard. Most people couldn't do that. You would have to be a very, very special individual.
That's where I have an understanding that the universe gives you what it knows you can handle.
Yes.
Which is not always like you can look at it and go, really? Like after my mom passed away 3 years later, I got the phone call that my uncle had the same disease, and I sunk to the floor, and I just started, really? Now I'm just getting my feeding underneath me. Really? And he lived 3 hours behind he lived down in Tacoma, which was almost 2.5 hours from me here. So it was a lot of driving and a lot of work with young kids. But that's the thing that I want to go to, though. It's not time for me to sit in that wallow that happened almost 30 years ago, 20 some odd 30 years ago, because life does things to us so we can learn how life is doing things for us. so that we can learn how to navigate through life doing things with us.
Very nice. Very well said. Say that again.
So in other words, life isn't always doing things to us. It's doing things for us so that we can walk through what's life going to be. What is life going to do? It's going to keep happening, and we're going to keep getting things happening in front of us. And we just sometimes, if we have the tools, that we just kind of say, I'm practicing to do better. And you know what? I kind of screwed up. Oh, well, I knew at this time that this was my information. And I'm going to make other decisions later. You know, when I said that, when I was taking care of my mom, I took a snapshot of my life. I was so tired because some days I was up to almost 24 hours.
Sure.
You know, my husband was going through a really bad stage of his alcoholism.
Oh, by the way, you didn't mention that before.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead.
And
you know,
we just moved into this house. So I was moving into a new house because I had to sell the other houses, my mom's rental and her home, and then our family home. You know, so there was this stage of life that, you know, I almost had to take a snapshot to remember how exhausted I was, just so that I did later go, yeah. God, I wish I could have done different, but I couldn't, you know. And we have to do that. We have to start recognizing, and I'm going to say this again, we're going to have to start recognizing where we're at the minute that life is happening to us, so that we can give ourselves tools and credit for moving forward out of where we were at, because life is doing things for us to get us stronger, to be able to negotiate things.
Very nice. Because, you know, when you said life does things to us, it's all but via the grand design and the design that you put together yourself on the other side of what you want to accomplish in this. So it's like, could you imagine the conversation you had with your folks on the other side before you were born? I was like, okay, so here's the deal. We're going to have you're going to be an only child. You're going to be dyslexic, and you're going to have some issues with learning and stuff. And then I'm going to pass away, and then your dad's going to pass away, and then you're going to have to
deal with lawyers and the military.
and all that stuff. And it's like, and they're like, I can just see you sitting there going, really? Your guys are going to do all that to me? And then they did it because you're strong, and they wanted you to get stronger, and they wanted you to get through it. And you did. You did. Mm-hmm. By the way, we're talking with Natasha. This is her show, Life Clarifications with Natasha. And you can talk to her if you want to. You can give us a call, which is 206-408-1395. And you'll appear on my screen right here, and then I'll put you through to her so that you can talk to her about what's going on with you. She really does help, and she really can help. So if there's anybody in the world listening, I highly encourage you to do that. Again, that's 206 408 $13.95. I was about to give you my number, which would have done you absolutely no good if you called it. So and by the way, if they are shy and don't want to talk to us here, they can get a hold of you. And how do they do that to talk to you? You
can get a hold of me by emailing me at natasha@angelicclarifications, or going to my website, angelicclarifications.com. And you don't even have to give us our name. You can even put something in the chat also to ask a question, because we never know what other people are needing to hear. Many times our questions are, 15 other people's questions, and the question that one asks gives clarity for the others. And you never know where conversations can go and lead to. So,
well, and what I find is that generally speaking, and I've told you this before, is the reason that I do this is because somebody somewhere in the world is having this dialogue with themselves. Why is life so tough? And they run into this, and it can help them. And that's the whole premise behind what we do. And I know that's what you do, is that you want to help people live their lives just a little bit better, a little bit more authentically.
Yes, and it is about what is our perception. Like, I was talking to someone the other day about how they're in this situation that they don't want to be in. It's kind of like the negative job for them. And like I was talking about the sometimes we have to say, okay, where we're at, and find the gifts of it. Find, what am I supposed to learn about myself? What am I supposed to learn by observing other people? What am I supposed to navigate with this? And then, if this situation is not in alignment with you, start saying, okay, I'm grateful for this job because it's giving me paycheck, but at the same time, I'm ready to move on. And start getting that concept. But at the same time, many times things are in our lives to teach us, not the bigger picture of how much money I can make or that kind of thing. Sometimes it's as simple as loving ourselves through a negative moment. Sometimes it's finding that tool to start saying, mind, are you controlling my thinking? Or am I going to start listening to my gut? Ooh, somebody walked up behind me that it just doesn't feel quite right. And so I'm going to turn around and look. It's that knowing when to have those perspectives that can really help us be in the next position that's going to come to us. The more stronger we are in ourselves, the more aware we are of ourselves, the more we find comfort in ourselves, the more we're ready to meet the next journey.
There are lots and lots and lots of people who think that life is nothing more than a bunch of random acts. How do you convince, not necessarily convince, but how do you help people understand that there is actually order to it, and there is a design behind it, and that if you pay attention, that you will be better off because of it? How do you convince people of that?
I kind of, those dot to dots, and it makes a design,
Yeah.
and sometimes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and, I love doing those things. I also like taking knots out of like shoes and so I enjoy. I had to be careful this because there was a big knot that ended up coming into my life that I had to undo. And I was like going, I don't want to undo my own life. I want to help others undo their own knots. But some people don't see the perspective that this, oh, wait a minute, we got to go back over here. And this is all starting to try to teach you about boundaries. Like, why do they keep calling me? Why can I not leave my house when I want to because so-and-so is talking to me? It's like phone calls and that someone is the same difference. It's about boundaries. And the universe is sneaky about boundaries. It's like, why am I always upset when somebody drives up next to me and they go faster going off when the light turns green? Well, are you more worried about other people than yourself?
Yep, there was a time years ago where I was, one of my favorite things to do is to have road rage. I would not take it easily and prettily if somebody cut me off. Or if I was going the speed limit and a guy comes up behind me and he gets in the other lane, he zips ahead of me and he gets in front of me. It's like he was disrespecting me and I'm going to go kick his ass and stuff. Well, that doesn't, as you tend to mature and you can't do as nearly as much ass kicking as you used to be able to do. You tend to calm down a little bit, but it is a very worthwhile experience to go through that as long as you don't act on it. And and pull yourself back, because I don't know about you. Do you get angry often?
I'm doing better at it.
I guess that answers my question.
I don't get angry real often. But the times that I did, because I didn't get angry. One time, my husband, in his alcoholism, I cleaned the whole house while he was gone hunting, except for the kitchen. So he told me I didn't clean any of the house because the part that he saw wasn't cleaned. But I knew that I was always going to be in the kitchen, so that was going to get cleaned anyways. But I knew, like, vacuuming behind like this bookshelf and stuff like that, that I needed to get the cobwebs out. So I did the whole house that way. I was so mad at him. I jumped up and down.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, in my knowings, I saw my heart beating. And it was not happy. And so I had to take a deep breath. But I'm going to tell you, though, I am learning to be angry because I don't want to go from nothing to everything. And I'm going to tell you, too, those years of my husband being alcoholic, I was passive aggressive. So I was a little bit undermining about my anger, and it came out in a different way. No, I wasn't mean to him. No, I didn't try screwing up dinner. No, I didn't try. But yet I would mumble underneath my breath all the time. I would do things that were just, well, he thought I did. He thought I screwed up dinner on purpose, but I didn't. But did I do everything in good integrity? No, because I had that undermining anger stuff. But now I can tell you, after I am frustrated, sometimes I go in the car and I just hold on to my steering wheel and I just, to get that out. I scream into a pillow. On the way out, maybe I do a couple of jump up and down stomps because I throw a fit, when I'm jumping up and down, because I understand that I have to be angry.
Well, and it gets the endorphins going and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's because the anger was eating me away, not anybody else.
Right.
By not producing that emotion. But we have to be respectful of those around. And I can tell you, when I started working through my anger, my relationship with my husband got better because I wasn't trying to hold in to make him happy.
Well, but and also I'd like to believe in the last 8 years, since he has stopped drinking and is more sober, that he's more thoughtful about attacking you at a given time when, like, dinner's about to be on the table, or he goes, see, now I want you to, I'm going to paint a picture for you. He goes hunting. He's having a good time. He's out there drinking with his buddies, hunting, going. You're cleaning the house. So then he comes home and he says, you didn't do a good enough job on the house. It'd be like, Bob, get the hell off me.
Well, sometimes I'm too nice. Sometimes I'm, but there was something that was supposed to come out of that. And I would say that me learning how to be angry, because I can tell you my whole childhood, I didn't have siblings to practice getting angry with.
Right.
I didn't have parents who fought. I heard them fight maybe 2 or 3 times, and my dad following my mom in, but you should do it. It's good for you. That was their fight.
Yeah. And
it was something that would have been helpful to my mother. It was like counseling or something. You know what I mean? It was something positive. It wasn't my dad's perception. And, so I didn't have anger around to practice.
Well,
So when life showed me angry, I didn't know really how to be angry.
yeah, your guide's on the other side to watch this. let's make her angry just because she needs to examine that emotion and then work through it. Because I'll tell you, most women that I know, if somebody came back from hunting and said, the house isn't clean enough and stuff, he would have ended up on the floor with a puddle of blood.
Yes. Well, also too, my husband spent a night in jail because he didn't want to come home to me because I didn't speak to him. He said, the cop said, "Do you want me to take you home?" He goes, "No." Why? Because my wife will not say a word to me.
Well, so he went and spent the night in jail? One of these days we have to have him on your show.
This is the one thing that I don't hide my emotions very well. And so I may not be anger, but this is not a good thing right now. And I believe that there's a difference.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And so with that, but people have to understand that if they understand planets at all, I have 2 Cancerians signs and an Aries. So I have 2 water signs and a fire sign in me. So I have to be careful about making, steam. Plus, almost all the planets in my chart are in water. So I have a lot of emotion in me. And crabs, we have a tendency to deal with our emotions by being a crab and going underneath the rock, underneath the waves, and letting the tide pass. And then we start coming out again. And so I had to practice not being the crab in the water. I had to practice being on the shore saying, "This is not what I want."
You had to be the crab out of the water.
I had to be the crab out of the water instead of letting the emotions run over me and me go, "Oh." And I even have to tell myself to this day, when things start rising up, I have to start saying, "Yeah, don't be a crab. Come on."
Well, what's interesting is that because you were an only child and your parents died very young. They died younger than you are today, is from what it, or
no,
about
I'm about 2 years away in age.
So but that's still very young.
Mm-hmm. They're in their 50s.
Yeah. And so you had to learn to go to exercise through all of that, the anger and by the way, before I forget, I wanted to let everybody know that there's a book by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross called The 5 Stages of Grief. And get that if you're going through grief at all. After you get done talking to Natasha, get that book because it can be very beneficial for you because it is. My brother went through that recently. It was the 5 stages of grief, the last of which was acceptance. Mm-hmm. And that was shortly before he died.
Yes. And that's the thing is people don't realize that grief can hit all sides.
Oh yeah.
It's not the one being left a lot of times. It's the ones that are leaving.
Oh,
it's the ones, it's us not being able to go to the grocery store. There was so much grief through this COVID thing that it just was palatable.
Oh, yeah.
But people didn't realize that it was grief. They were grieving their lives ending. They were grieving being alone. They were grieving not being able to go to their grocery store. They were grieving that they couldn't wear be their faces the way that they wanted. And we're going to be going through a whole lot of grief here in the next. We are going through it now because reality is starting to come up and we're going to go back to what we were talking about at the beginning, how life doesn't always give us what we want. And then grief hits and we get frustrated, we get angry, we get sad, we get disappointment, we go into these different layers, and acceptance isn't always the easiest.
Sure. All these things, I, in my humble opinion, all these things are a learning tool for you to experience life in a much more meaningful way. But a lot of times, can't do it yourself.
No.
You need to do it with the support of somebody who has been through it, understands it, and can help you deal with it. And that's that one. The one sitting right over there, she can do that. So I highly encourage you, if they've got issues going on with you, And also, if the other thing that she's been through, which is just remarkable, is dealing with your husband for 22 of the 30 years when he was drinking heavily and smoking heavily and doing all those things.
Yeah, because he was on pot too.
And you're still together.
I'm still together. I have, and I'm going to be, this is something I want people to know, that there's some people that need to go on some kind of medication to help them with depression. Some bodies are meant to be on something because we're wired differently. And I'm going to do a disclosure here. I don't know why I have the tools. Maybe it was because my dad used to walk around the house saying, get excited. Life is doing things to you, not for you, or doing things for you, not to you. He would just say things like when I was so young and very depressed because kids making fun of me. I couldn't spell. I didn't have friends. I was an only child, just all that stuff. He'd put me in the mirror and say, it's time to love yourself. Time to love yourself.
Sounds like a hell of a man.
And so he gave me the tools in his own knowing. He was very intuitive too, so I don't know what he knew, but I think he knew that he had to give me these tools. He didn't know why. He didn't know he would be part of the reason, but he knew that he had to give me tools to give me and then I just have that internal, like the day that I was thinking when I was like around 14, should I end my life? And there was a part of me that says, hell no, you got things to do. And so I just have always had this part of me that says, okay, tomorrow might be different. Okay, what is this here to teach you? Okay, let's keep moving forward because you never know what tomorrow is going to bring. Kind of like the day that I told, my higher belief to put my feet on the floor when I was taking care of my mom and newborn baby and a 4-year-old and husband changing a job about the same time, that I just kind of went, you put my feet on the ground and I'll walk it. Well, I don't remember, but he put my feet on the ground and it was about 1 o'clock. I went, holy crap, you put my foot on the ground. Okay, I guess I got to finish the rest of the day, don't I? It just, I've had things in my life like that, but I've always had the perspective. What is the good that's happening inside of the bad? What is the good that's happening inside of the bad? There's always, Maya Angelou said it perfectly. There's always a rainbow inside those clouds. The sun is always shining beyond those clouds. The blue sky is beyond our clouds. There's, like my color, my tree out there was so brilliantly orange today. It's a maple tree. And the sun was glistening off of it so much, even though I was crazy and my dog was asking me to do things at the same time, I had to do something for work and blah, 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 blah. I went out and I went, oh, aren't you beautiful? And I breathed for a minute.
And it helped.
Mm-hmm. And it helped.
That's just awesome. That's just awesome. By the way, that's Natasha Venter. And if you want to get in touch with her, I know how. I don't know that I'm going to tell you, but I know how. No, Natasha, how does somebody get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me with my Perfectly Imperfect website. And I like it, but it's doing some work right now. AngelicClarifications.com.
It is a magical website. It is.
Is it a magical website? See, now there's my
perfect.
dyslexic part of me that's talking, and I apologize to you and it.
You don't have to apologize to me for a dang thing, young lady.
True. True.
You are special. You are a gift, and I can tell you there's a show for those of you that haven't listened to or watched Life Between Lives. Regan Forston is one of the folks that we work with, and he is so enamored with this one over here. He's a hypnotherapist. He works with people. Takes people into deep hypnosis, and he is so enamored with her because of what she can do, and that he is becoming her agent. He's sending all kinds of people.
I'm grateful.
And it's not because Oh yeah, you're cute and all that, but it's not has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that you're effective, and you know what you're talking about, and people resonate with it. That's
Thank you.
that's why that's why he is sending like the Western United States to you. It's and stuff, and it's great fun to watch. It's great fun to watch.
So, Angelic Clarifications is how you can get in touch with me, or Natasha at Angelic Clarifications is my email. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Natasha Venter, so that you can get inspirational quotes, and you can find I love communicating that way with how can I help you. I've got people who, they say that they're grateful for my daily inspirations.
And where do those appear?
On Facebook.
Oh, very good.
And Instagram
as well.
And Instagram, and also Twitter.
Can you give us an example of one, Yella, there, love?
I can. Let me go to one.
That would be just fabulous.
I will give you one. Let me go to my page. Sorry here. So, like last night, down the road of life, we will find out the whys, or maybe we may not. Yet, our inner growth of how we believe in ourselves is what truly matters.
Ah, very good. Very good. How we believe in ourselves. Because there are lots of people who don't believe in themselves, don't believe what they're capable of. They're told their entire life. They've listened to a story that has been wrong their entire life. And
exactly.
And they continue to believe it today. So that's why you need to talk to somebody like her, because she can get you in touch with your guides on the other side who can say, you're wrong. You're better than that. We can help.
Yep. You. And actually, that's what I was talking to this one person about is that when he's standing there, when they are in the midst of comparing themselves to someone, they are just as good and as brilliant and amazing as the person that is walking by them, just because their job is different.
It's interesting. We all have gifts. We tend to downplay the gifts that we have. Oh, that's easy. Everybody can do that. Not the case. Not true at all. But we downplay our gifts, and then we highlight our deficiencies. She is so good at that. Why can't I do that? You know what I mean? And so we tend to downplay what we do well, and we accentuate what we don't do as well, or what we're still trying to learn how to do. And so we end up devaluing who we are.
Exactly. And you even heard me doing that today.
I have.
With even talking about my website, because I know that, the way that I have the pay system might not work for everyone, or there might be a word misspelled here or there. And that's that part of me that kind of sneaks in. And then I have to say, wait a minute, and thank you, Kevin, for being my voice of reason at that moment, because I was, as I was telling myself, saying that, I was like going, wait a minute. I know it's okay. It may not be perfect, but it's okay.
Yeah, it is as it is. And I got to tell you, sister, I don't work with chopped liver, so I work with only the best.
Well, thank you. I'm grateful I'm not chopped liver.
You are not, and you are very talented at what you do. And that's why I'm really anxious for somebody to call so that we can talk to them. That would be great.
I know. I would love to start getting those inspirations of conversations with that. But there again, as we go through life, we just started this.
Right.
Life is going to happen. And if they're meant to call in, they will. But I have guidance. We will talk about what's needed to be talked about, because I'm not in control of it. They are. And so with that is just, but please, if I can have anything, just remember to breathe. That tomorrow may show you why. Maybe not this minute, but breathe, because there's going to be something that's going to help you through your day if you have the perception of being open and understanding that it is what it is and we can navigate through it. It's just believing in ourselves, seeing the bright light in the midst of the darkness. There's always going to be a bright light. Just kind of like having a really rough day, and here comes a ladybug and lands on you. You know, there's just those magical things that happen that, why is a ladybug? You know, most of them are going to go, ooh, a bug, instead of saying, oh, wait a minute, the magic of a ladybug. This thing that is about yay big spreads out its wings and it can fly.
According to scientists, aerodynamically, he's not allowed to be able to do that.
He's magical. So this magical being can land on you. So start saying, oh, life is giving me inspirations in the midst of the darkness. But it takes our perception to do that. And I'm grateful that I can be that gift of showing people where those inspirations come from, where they are, and actually that they're there.
Absolutely. It's a great way to live. It's a great way to be positive a lot, and to enjoy the humor that life presents within itself.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Kind of like today I was standing outside and the wind is really blowing here at my home.
Yeah, it is. I can see it. We can see it in the background.
Yeah. And it was interesting though, because the wind almost blew me over. It was blowing so hard. And then all of a sudden it stopped. I went, isn't that interesting? Something that was so powerful that it almost blew me over, that it actually had kindness and stopped. Food for thought.
There you are. One more thing. That's just one more validation. That's all you get.
One more validation.
Yeah.
My love to everyone, and please just know you are loved, no matter who, what, where, when, what color, what you're wearing, who you perceive yourself to be. You are loved. You are made of love. You are loved, and you are the gift of love. It's just time to start believing it
And knowing it.
And having it be right here, not this love, this.
Yes. That is Natasha Venter, and she is wonderful. Please go to her website, which again is
angelicclarifications.com.
And by the way, my name is, just because I want to have a shameless plug, my name is Kevin McDonald. I have a podcast called My Independent Report. This will be on that as well as on Natasha's site. And so please send it to your friends who may be down and maybe out and not feeling well, and to give them something that they can giggle a little bit and they can be uplifted by, because that's what Natasha does. So,
and if you want to subscribe, because I do post many different videos on this on my YouTube page. So the Life Between Lives come up about a week later, so they're good to listen to too. So hopefully that helps.
Only because I'm lame and don't get them to you fast enough. If I got them to you fast enough,
because
they would be a lot faster.
You're human. And you know what, sweetie? Your brother just passed. I have no expectations. I just have wishes, but I have no expectations.
I know, but he would want me, if as much as anybody, he would want me to continue and to do what we're doing, because what we're doing is fun, it's exciting, and there's 7 billion people on the planet. Somebody's going to listen to this, and it's going to be life-changing for them. I guarantee you.
So that is my wish for those in this world, is to just find communion with something, to know that they are loved. And what they're going through is very human.
That's part of the plan, part of the deal. We all have to face it. So with that, I'm gonna close it out. Natasha, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure as usual. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other, because each other is all we've got. See you next time on My Independent Report.